So one of the most frustrating things about covering criminal justice related issues on this channel, and specifically covering other media outlets trying to highlight cases, is the fact that we're almost always dealing with omission in terms of certain cases. And today's case is a perfect example of this. Now, I'm going to tell you up front that this is the story of a 15-year-old kid who was leaving an In-N-Out in and around midnight, who was sucker punched with brass knuckles and ended up losing his teeth shortly after removing his braces, and thus being very happy specifically about his teeth. It's absolutely tragic. However, what's important for you guys to know is that this is yet another iteration of the knockout game, and the news segment that we're going to cover is not going to tell you that. It's also going to tell you that these perpetrators are out on the loose, and yet we're not going to get a description of the suspects, just the parents saying, hey, if you have any information about these undescribed, unknown suspects, could you please report it to law enforcement? Now, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to everybody who's listening on Apple, Spotify, and Google's podcasting platform.
Also new tonight, a Valley family is demanding answers after they say their son was violently attacked and hit so hard that several of his teeth were knocked out.
Police are still searching for the person responsible.
So right there in the open, they say that the parents are looking for answers and we have the suspect on the loose, and yet there's no description of the suspect. There's no surveillance footage from the In-N-Out where this happened, all things that you would expect the local news to put out there, and considering it's the local news and there are thousands upon thousands of incidents of the knockout game across the country that have been well documented for decades in this country, it would be interesting if they gave us some information, some commentary, to inform us about what's going on, about what happened to this young man. But again, all of that is absent, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to play the video and you're going to see it for yourself.
Mark Rebe, they tell me it happened at this Phoenix In-N-Out Burger off of Tatum Boulevard and Deer Valley Drive. They say their son was leaving when he was sucker punched by someone wearing brass knuckles.
Kevin Durkin had just gotten his braces off.
He's very excited about his pretty new smile.
He had them off for about 3 weeks.
So again, as I said in the open, this young man recently got his braces off and he's very happy about his smile, and he should be. Good looking kid, nice looking family. Obviously, they spent thousands of dollars on the orthodontist in order to get this young man braces, and now, months later, he's sucker punched in a knockout game, and the local news won't show you or even describe the suspects that attacked him, because God forbid we actually catch the criminal responsible.
But now his parents, Brittany and Brett, say it will cost about $15,000 to get that smile back.
It's insane.
Yeah, you heard that right. The damage that this coward did to him with this sucker punch, with this iteration of the knockout game, is going to cost $15,000 to repair. $15K to restore this young 15-year-old boy's smile that he only had access to for a couple of months. And you know what? I can't abide by it. I cannot allow it to happen. I'm setting up a give, send, go. The goal is $15K. Let's get this young man some teeth, because honestly, we need to do something based on the fact that they're not really interested in covering this story beyond the local news, and they're not even interested at the local news in telling you or showing you surveillance video so you could see the suspects so they can actually catch this person. The suspect behind this, the group of teens that participated in this vicious, unprovoked attack against this young man, that again is going to put his family at a $15,000 loss, aren't even worth describing to the local news. They're out on the streets to re-victimize another person, and I can't have it. I can't let this go on, and I know some of you out there are on board. That's why I'm setting up the give, send, go. Let's go. Let's get this young man some teeth.
That's because just a few days ago, Kevin and his friends were leaving this In-N-Out Burger just after midnight when his parents say Kevin was sucker punched by someone wearing brass knuckles.
4 of his bottom teeth were knocked out, and one of his top front teeth was shoved back in.
Brittany remembering that terrifying phone call.
They were all screaming. They were very frantic. I'm missing my teeth. My teeth are gone.
Kevin was rushed to the hospital. When his parents arrived, they say he was covered in blood. The next day, when they went to the restaurant to talk to management about the incident, they found Kevin's teeth still in the parking lot.
Yeah, so horrible attack. The young man gets sucker punched. You saw the blood dried up on his shirt. But I also want to point out, and this is a pro tip and it's not victim blaming, but if you ever find yourself in a situation where your teeth are knocked out, pick them up, throw them in a cup of milk, and put them back in. This is actually the best way humanly possible for you to keep your teeth. Do not leave them in the parking lot, although I just want to point out that this was a group attack, as you're going to hear in a little bit. So obviously in that hectic situation, it's better to get out of there. But again, if you want to keep your teeth, definitely just put them back in, especially if they're not cracked or broken or whatever. Whatever ones are fully in, just shove them. Trust me, it will definitely work. Any dentist will tell you to do so. I'm not a medical professional, but this is what you do.
I have a whole tooth of his that I picked up in the parking lot. A whole tooth.
Kevin says they were leaving the fast food place when they saw another group of teenagers hitting one of Kevin's friend's cars. When that friend confronted the group, he says they attacked him.
Did suffer some head injuries, did get a minor concussion.
Then when the skirmish was over and Kevin and his friends were heading back to their car, that's when his parents say their son was hit out of nowhere.
So yeah, they go in and out in order to get a burger or whatever. They come out and they see a bunch of youths, undescribed youths, beyond the fact that they're another group of teens, just attacking the random car. So they go to confront them. That person ends up with a concussion because, of course, this is a game. It's called the knockout game, and you're trying to provoke and then attack and or sucker punch. And then at certain point, they decide to leave, go to their own vehicle, and Kevin is sucker punched by a guy with brass knuckles. Absolutely cowardly to start a fight before somebody even knows they're engaged in a fight. Even more cowardly to use a weapon in order to do so.
That's probably what he's struggling with the most, is the why. Just why and who.
Now look, I can understand when a random act of violence is perpetrated against you, you try to make sense of it, you try to rationalize it, and you try to figure out the motivation. And in reality, motives are just things that you don't often need to concern yourself with. It just happened to be what it sounds like to me, a wrong place, wrong time, and you came across a group of teens that were looking to do some damage. As I said, time and time again, the point of the knockout game is the fact that it's a game. This is why oftentimes whenever we hear these stories, there is laughing attached to this. It's not just the attack, it's about the enjoyment, and it appears this is what happened right then and there. It's unfortunate, it's sad. Obviously, if there's additional information that would show that there was some kind of actual cause or whatever, I will revise this in the future. But what this sounds like is the knockout game.
Why? Just why and who?
Both parents reported this to Phoenix police. Officers tell 12 News they are looking into it. In the meantime, while Kevin is still recovering, the emotional damage from that night haunts him.
He's going to watch his back everywhere he goes.
As Brittany and Brett call on those who have any information about the person responsible for attacking their son to come forward.
Now, based on the fact that the parents are asking for help in identifying who was responsible repeatedly throughout this segment, yet there's no description, yet there's no surveillance video, and if we find surveillance video, I will put it out for you. I think what we see is what we often see in instances like this, where the most relevant information to a story about finding out who committed this crime is being omitted due to politically correct reasons. Now, again, I could be wrong, but I noticed these patterns in news coverage when it comes to suspects, and to be clear, perpetrators of the knockout game tend to be black teenagers, and they tend to victimize anybody who is not a black male teenager, specifically white, Asian, elderly, gays. We've gone over all the various groups that have been victimized by this. There's entire books written about this phenomenon, and one of the things that we notice whenever the knockout game comes up is that the news media will either never mention it, or they'll say it could be. Some say that this could be the knockout game, and they'll never describe the suspects. And they'll often reference how they're looking for one individual suspect, the brass knuckle puncher, rather than talk about the whole group, as they were clearly and obviously acting within concert of one another. We don't even get a gauge on the size of the group that attacked this young man that were attacking the car, and all we hear about is how they're looking for this one individual. Now, I can't speak for the parents. I've never met them. I've never had a conversation with them or anything like that. But I would think they would want all of the people who acted in concert in this way to hurt one friend and knock their son's teeth out to face justice for this crime. That's what I would want as a parent. That's what I would want as a friend. That's what I want as a person. But the local news media is all about mitigating and reducing and not giving you information while they're tacitly covering this story. And it's one of the things that I absolutely can't stand because, again, you have the parents right there. They're still in shock. This is a horrific moment for anyone. And now they are left with the bill and all they want is some tiny sliver of justice. And the local news is kind of helping them, but not really. So like I said, give, send, go in order to restore this young man's smile. Now, if you're the parents or relative or somebody that can put me in touch with the parents or the relative, go find me on Twitter at IamSean90. Go into my DM request, message me there. If email is your preference, email me at SeanFitzgerald@actualjusticewarrior.com. I will give you my Skype username. I will verify your faces as I see them in the local news segment, and 100% of the proceeds of the Give, Send, Go will go to you. The transaction fees will be the only thing that will be deducted from whatever the total is. It is 100% yours, and that is my word as me, Sean Fitzgerald, to members of my audience that contribute to this young man getting his teeth. Now, I would love for any of you who are able to contribute so we can get whatever amount to the family to help them take care of their son in their hour of need. Again, link in the description. And speaking of description, I would love for local news outlets to release the footage of this if it exists, or at least describe the suspects. Tell us who did it, who to look for, so we can identify them so somebody else doesn't get victimized again. Because again, the knockout game can be deadly. You hit somebody and they don't walk away with just a concussion or broken teeth or anything like that. They get hit. They hit the ground, they end up dying, and I cannot abide by it. They will do this again. Random attacks like this are done for fun. This is called the knockout game, and we have to put a stop to it. And all those people who signed up for this bad legislation that says if you're a teenager, if you're under the age of 18, you're essentially a baby. No, absolutely not. Not even close. Not on board with it. These people need to be prosecuted because your peak offending years for males who commit the overwhelming majority of crime of all racial groups is age 14 to 24. So ignoring that fact and playing around and letting these kids off over and over again and not really pursuing them has failed, and the consequences can be found in the parking lot of that Arizona In-N-Out. Now, that's all I really have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much to everybody who contributes. If you like this video, you show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social media. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about yet another instance of a knockout game. Till next time.